Hello and welcome to the Fun Kids Bookworms podcast. My name is Bex, I love books, and I've got loads of them to tell you about this week. First up, we're going to have Greg James and Chris Smith. Then we'll have Tamsin Mori. We'll be joined by Eve Wersocki-Morris, and we've got Ella Dove. So first up, it's time for some time-travelling twists as Radio 1 breakfast show host Greg James and co-author Chris Smith are joining me to chat about their brand new adventure. It is The Kid Who Fell Through Time. I am joined right now by authors, presenters, legends, Greg James and Chris Smith. How you doing?
It's great after that introduction.
Legends.
I'm joined by legends.
Yeah.
Wow, Robin Hood and William Tell.
Yeah.
Together at last, two legends.
Nice to be back, Bex. We love you. We love Fun Kids. Yeah. What a great radio station. It's my second favourite radio station.
My favourite.
Oh. Hey.
No,
Yes. I mean, can you imagine? Oh my God. Immediately I can hear my Fun Kids boss pricking his ear up, being like, sorry, what? Can you just say that again?
Yeah, it's my second favourite radio station after Magic.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Fix Radio, which would be even funnier. Guys, you have brought us a brand new story, and I was thrilled to read it because it contains time travel and lots of food, which I will get onto later on. So tell us a little bit about Angus, who is our lead character in your brand new book.
Yes, it's called The Kid Who Fell Through Time, and Angus is the kid who, spoiler, falls through time, but through, we think, a unique method.
Yeah, because Angus basically, when we first meet him, is doing his history homework, which is probably not everyone's favourite thing to do. And he sort of thinks, you know, history's a bit boring. He doesn't really think of people in history as real people with thoughts and feelings like the rest of us. And then he falls into a shopping trolley, stay with us, a shopping trolley being driven down the hill by Marge from the local supermarket who runs the cheese counter, and he discovers that it's a time-travelling shopping trolley.
Yeah.
And soon he ends up in Roman Britain.
I mean, yeah, that's that immediate great summing up of the book. We need to talk about so many things. First of all, I'm going to be honest, I love Marge. I'd like her to adopt me, please. Can I meet her at my local shopping centre, or is she somebody that is totally a figment of your imagination?
Well, she is sadly not a real person, but she is based on people that love working in that industry. You know, you love it when you meet a really passionate shopkeeper. You meet someone who might be on the cheese counter, or you might meet an amazing butcher, or someone who just lives for their job. Like, she absolutely loves being on that cheese counter. She is Marge's from Marge's, and that passion is prevalent in many, many shops and supermarkets around this country. So she is a collection of the great people that serve us our favourite food. But I'm sorry, Bex, she isn't a real person. But, you know, she would definitely love hanging out with you. She would love that. And also, we did speak to her earlier, that said, because we have a special sort of portal to her.
Yeah.
And she said, when you speak to Bex, can you ask her what her favourite cheese is?
That's so funny because Marge must have had me writing questions for you, because that was going to be something I'm going to ask you later on. But I'm going to tell you right now, yeah. I was thinking about this, a Cambozola.
Oh!
Hear me out.
Voice.
Marge would be proud of that. She'd love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If anyone doesn't know, it's a mixture of blue cheese and a brie. You put your hands together of like squidgy blueness. It's perfect. And I feel like Marge would...
Just to correct you, of a camembert and a gorgonzola, hence the name.
Cambozola.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With the cheese knowledge, because we know a lot about cheese.
We've been hanging out with Marge loads. Yeah. But
you and Marge hanging out all the time?
The amazing thing about Marge is that she can obviously travel back in time and into the future to go and find the very best cheeses for her customers. And it's those sorts of workers in a shop that go above and beyond for their customers.
Yeah, I think I want time-travelling people in all the supermarkets, really.
Yeah.
I love the use of, if somebody was to find out they could time travel, I love the fact she's like, I'm going to go and pop back and get some great cheese, please. Well, but you know what? The customers love it, and no one recognises that she's going back in time to get it.
Yeah.
Everyone's a winner.
When we were brainstorming this book and we were plotting bits out and thinking, what's the funniest, what's the silliest thing? We sort of said to each other, what would you do if you could travel back in time? And we go, we'll just try and find some cheese.
And we thought we'd try and find, like, what's the very earliest cheese? And we started doing lots of research. Like, what was the first cheese that was ever invented? And we discovered that, as far as anybody could work out, it seems to have come from ancient Egypt, when people traveled across the desert with milk in on the backs of their camels, and it sort of got shaken around, and they kind of accidentally made this incredible camel cheese. Yeah. So we thought, right, well, we've got to go back and have a taste, right?
I imagine your listeners are now going, camel cheese. But it's just as weird as having cheese from a cow.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste, that's all.
Yeah, you've basically described a cheese camel milkshake, which I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be a fan of.
Not a sentence you hear every day.
No, but actually, we should spread this as a vicious rumor that actually the hump of a camel is where it forms its cheese. Actually, the hump is made out of cheese.
That's where the milkshake comes from.
Yeah.
I genuinely, sometimes when you tell me stuff, I'm like, yeah, that seems fine. That seems absolutely normal.
Awesome.
Yeah, why not? All right. So in the book, we've got to talk about the ancient Egyptian times and Aquila, who we meet, who is a bit of a hero as well, who kind of stows away. And she's like, well, you know what? I want to travel through time. Let's pop in this little trolley.
Well, because Angus, when we were talking about him doing his history homework, he never really considered like people from history as real people. We really wanted him to make a friend from history. And he runs into Aquila, who is, as you say, from the city of Thonis in ancient Egypt, which is now underwater, but it was a real place. And she's so curious and she's bright and she's very funny and sort of more so than Angus. She really, even though she's from, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, she takes time traveling in her stride and ends up fitting in quite well at Angus's school in the present day because she's got kind of a cool, funky ancient Egyptian braid and cool ancient Egyptian eye makeup. And you stick her in a hoodie and a pair of jeans and suddenly she's like the coolest kid in school.
Yeah. It's a nice reminder, actually. Hopefully when kids read this, they'll be reminded that people have existed for ages and they were just as interested in what came before them as we are, and they'd be intrigued to see what our world is like now compared to what their world was like. So we get a bit of that with Angus and Aquila because they share each other's realms essentially. So that's been a really nice bit of writing this story, and just bringing history to life is something, or just bringing stories to life is something that we have always loved. Reading as humans, but also writing as well, and just going, do you know what? Actually, everyone is interesting because everyone's got a story. Everyone has something interesting about them. So just dig a bit deeper. We are all just people at the end of it all.
I did want to ask you, you mentioned food a lot. You made me very hungry reading this book. You've got fish fingers in there, which I haven't had for ages. Now I really want some fish fingers. You mentioned pizza. You mentioned cheese. So I wanted to know, what is your favourite cheese, pizza topping, and most importantly, meal deal? Because in the book you mentioned the meal deals.
Yeah.
So cheese, pizza, and meal deal choice, please.
Okay. So cheese, I like smoked cheese.
Oh.
So you can sometimes get like a smoked cheddar.
Yeah.
That's my favourite.
Yeah.
I only want like a smoky flavour. Yeah.
I really will take anything cheese-wise. I love a strong cheddar.
Ooh,
would take a smoke.
Okay.
Definitely would take a smoke.
Yeah, it's good.
But the stronger, the better. The tougher, the better. I love any cheese like that. Or I would probably go for something like, for a real treat, halloumi.
Oh,
just lovely, squeaky, just char grilled halloumi. Just delicious.
get out on the barbecue.
Oh my God, that salty, squeaky.
Salty, and smoky.
Salty, squeaky, smoky cheese. How could that not be the most delicious thing ever?
So hungry.
In terms of a pizza, I really like anything spicy. So I go for any sort of spicy pizza.
American hot.
Yeah, go for an American hot.
Pepperoni and jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Beautifully said.
I go for that, and there has to be a really lovely garlic dip as well.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Pop the crusts in.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
That's what I really like. And meal deal wise,
Chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Diet Coke. And then the most funnest bit of a meal deal is the snack, right?
It is, but this is where I'm going to judge you the most.
Okay, so I'm going one of two ways. Either, depending on what supermarket you're getting your meal deal from, mini pack of 2 pork pies, amazing, right? Or samosa.
Oh, nice.
The veggie samosa.
Oh,
Samosa after a sandwich.
A samosa after a sandwich, that's right.
I gotta say
Double
something.
lunch.
I want to say something to your listeners, and I hope they don't judge me
This
for
is
this.
going to be controversial, isn't it?
I'm not a big sandwich guy.
What?
I'm not.
I'm going to leave the interview, let alone the listeners turning off. Like, what?
I'm going to leave the writing partnership back.
I'm a big toast guy. I'm a big bread guy.
Yeah,
I'm not a
but
massive sandwich guy.
so are you going pasta? Are you going salad?
What about a toast sandwich?
I'd have a you know what? I would just have a cheese toasty. That's what I'd go for.
That's not an option. That's not an option at Tesco.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want it then.
Bex, I can only apologise.
I'm just saying, you'll never catch me making a raw sandwich.
Ugh.
A toasty, fine.
Don't say raw sandwich. That sounds
I'm
awful.
just not doing it.
Yeah, you spoiled it. Yeah.
Okay, do you know what? The sandwich that I would pick would be a jam sandwich. Are you happy?
I mean, I'm not, but for, I'm as in like I like jam sandwiches, but they don't sell them in the shops.
No one's happy.
That's not a meal deal option.
Insane. You don't
Get with the program, Paddington.
to all of your amazing young listeners. You don't have to, just because this country wants you to like sandwiches, you don't have to. You don't have to do it. And the same with tea. You don't have to grow up and drink tea. You don't have to.
That's the hill you're willing to die on. That's the big.
I feel seen.
I'm dead on it.
And I feel seen and disliked.
Yeah. Baguette, however, different matter. Baguette, I would die for a baguette. And I would die for a ham and cheese with mustard baguette. That's what I'm going for.
Where was that like 2 minutes ago? Yeah, get that in the meal deal.
You can't get that in a meal deal. You can't get that in a meal deal. You can only get those.
You can get it in a deal to déjeuner.
Right.
Probably.
What a beautiful
France to
accent.
it. And I'd go to France for a perfect,
your meal deal in France
Jambon.
is a jambon, a baguette jambon fromage.
Oh yeah.
Glass of rosé wine and a samosa.
Where are we getting that from? Where is that? I'm driving.
The bistro.
That's my booze.
I am going to find
cruise.
whatever shop will offer that as a meal deal. We're going to get it sorted. We're going to read your book. We're going to get a book club. We'll eat baguettes. What?
Let's open one.
We're going to say if it doesn't exist, let's use our profits from the books to open one.
Let's open a baguette restaurant.
Baguette and rosé wine restaurant.
A
Roadside.
Kid Who Fell Through Time is out right now, I imagine. Everywhere?
Woo, yeah.
Everywhere.
I'd hope so, at least. Otherwise, there's not much point to this interview. But thank you so much, guys, for telling us all about it. And hopefully I'll see you soon for more book chats.
Thanks, Bex.
Thank you, Bex. Thank you, fun kids.
Oh, what a fun time I had with Greg and Chris. Next up is Tamsin Mori, who reveals the magic and the mystery behind The Watcher. It's the second book in her Gargoyle series. Let's find out more. We're joined right now by the author, Tamsin Mori. Hey, Tamsin, how you doing?
Good. Lovely to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I don't think we've met before. Would that be right?
That's right. We haven't met before.
Excellent. Well, in which case, welcome along to the Bookworms podcast. And I'm very excited because you're bringing with you the second book in your Gargoyles, I'm going to say trilogy. Would we say it's going to be 3 of them?
It's definitely going to be a trilogy. I love writing trilogies. Yeah, so it's book 2 in Gargoyles trilogy.
Amazing. So if we haven't read the first one, who are we meeting and where do we find them?
We are meeting Callan. He's our main character. In the first book, he's moved into a new home with his family, and it turns out to be a creepy old mansion. He didn't know this, but it used to belong to his grandmother, and he's kind of horrified when they move there, partly because it's taking him away from everything that he knows, all his friends, and partly because it looks pretty spooky. It's got gargoyles all over it, and it looks as though it's about ready to fall down. But Mum and Dad are very excited about it. So there's a bit of a mismatch between him and his parents' attitudes to moving to this place. And over the course of book 1, he actually discovers there's genuinely some creepy things going on. Not least, he spots one of the gargoyles waking up and coming to life in the middle of the night. So, yeah, book 1 is all about his endeavours to discover what spooky stuff is going on and uncover the secrets of the place, and hopefully also befriend a gargoyle, because he feels as though he's faced with all of this scary stuff. He's going to need a monster on his side. And at the start of book 2, he has just about succeeded in befriending a gargoyle, but the people who look after all of the places where magic is concentrated send somebody to assess him and to decide whether he should be allowed to stay there and continue what he started, being a guardian, working with a gargoyle, or whether actually he's not competent enough or he's too young. So he's really nervous at the start of book 2 that somebody is going to tell him no, he's not good enough.
Excellent summary. So what is the point of a guardian? What would he be able to do if he was called a guardian?
It means protecting people, essentially. So gargoyles exist all over the place, but there's usually a concentration of them around a source, which is a place that magic flows into the world. Because magic isn't good or bad. It just amplifies the dreams that you feed it. So if people are dreaming of wonderful things, then amazing things happen. But if people are approaching it with dreams of spite or fury or jealousy. There are all sorts of nasty things can come out of the source. But a gargoyle's role is to protect the world, protect people from the darker things that magic can conjure up. And usually they work alongside a human. They pick someone to be their partner in protecting everyone.
Now, when I think of gargoyle, I think of kind of like a really weird monster type creature who's kind of like got claws and is kind of like fangs out.
Is that pretty terrifying?
Yeah, is that the kind of gargoyles that you were thinking about when you were writing the book?
I did lots of research on different kinds of gargoyles, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Everything from your classic terrifying ones with horns and fangs and long claws, right through to ones that look like rabbits or frogs or owls. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. The one that Callan has befriended in the book is a lion. It has wings and horns, but otherwise it looks very much like a lion.
I have to say, one thing on reading the book, I was like, there's not many books out there that mention gargoyles. I've read lots of magical books about dragons and mythical beasts, but gargoyles are an untapped beast, I would say. So when you thought of it, were you like, yes, no one else has got that?
I don't know. I mean, it's not unusual for there to be lots of books around a particular creature or story, and that's fine because all of them come out as different stories. But gargoyles have a place close to my heart. I was born in Paris, and gargoyles are a very big thing there. There's lots and lots of them. The most famous ones being on Notre Dame Cathedral. But also, when I was researching my first trilogy, The Weather Weaver, a lot of the time when I was looking for story inspiration, I wandered around looking up. I was looking at the sky for inspiration. And when I was in cities, I kept noticing faces looking down. There's far more gargoyles around than you realise until you start spotting them, and then they seem to be everywhere.
Was there a reason that they were put in originally? Was it to protect the areas and the places they were built onto?
Yeah, it was. They were put there as protectors. They're meant to look fearsome and terrifying because they scare off anything that's worse.
I mean, they absolutely do. You're right. When I was at school, actually, we did a walking tour of Newcastle, where I'm from. And I remember my teacher just constantly saying, just look up, guys, just look up. And you see all these things and you're like, what's happening here? So in the book, you've got lots of magic. You've got kelpies as well. You've got all these kind of like magical creatures. That must have taken a lot of research too.
It did, although a lot of them are my favourite magical creatures. I've found ways to weave them in. The idea being that when people are close to a magical source, the type of magic that they want to see in the world is what appears. So actually, these magical creatures, they're iterations of people's dreams. So yeah.
And in the book, what do we have to worry about for Callum? What's he going to be up to? Do you reckon? What kind of things do we have to watch out for?
In book 2, he's really caught in a bind because on the one hand, he's really wanting to impress the Watcher, who's the person who's been sent to assess him and decide whether he's doing a good job. But the Watcher has slightly different ideas about how best to do that than Callan does. One of Callan's friends has lost one of his magical creatures that's gone outside the boundaries of Gargoyles Rest, and he's desperate to get it back. He loves it. But the Watcher is very much, we do everything by the rules. We're going to be very defensive. We're going to prevent anything bad from coming in. So he's really caught between wanting to be impressive to this person who's assessing him and wanting to stay loyal to his friends.
Oh, I love this. It's such a fun book. It's such a good idea for a book. Now, before I let you go, Tamsin, we do a little quick fire round of questions, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Get a little feel for you as an author. So the first thing is easy. Books or Kindles?
Oh, books for me.
Every time. I think most people say that now. Heroes or villains?
Oh, I don't know. I really can't choose. I like flawed heroes and I like convincing villains.
Flawed heroes, convincing villains. I'll take that. Film adaptation or TV adaptation?
A TV adaptation. There's more space to tell the story.
More time, yeah. Beginnings or endings?
Beginnings.
Okay. Hogwarts or Narnia?
Narnia, all the way.
The Notre Dame or Westminster Abbey?
Oh, Notre Dame.
Of course, of course. Laptop or write by hand?
Both. I tend to write by hand when I'm starting a story, when I'm collecting ideas and when I'm playing. And then when I get on to doing edits and everything else, it's much easier to do it on a computer.
Oh my goodness, I'd be exactly the same. In which case, do you write 9 to 5 or just whenever you fancy?
Whenever I fancy. Most of my books are written in amongst the rest of life. I think most of The Weather Weaver was written in car parks while waiting to pick up my kids.
Amazing. And finally, the last one, salt and vinegar or cheese and onion?
Salt and vinegar all the way.
Yes, that's the correct answer. Salt and vinegar. In any particular form, do you like a salt and vinegar hula hoop or a Walker's crisp or a square? Any particular one, or just in general that flavour?
No, just in general, that flavour is my favourite.
I mean, that is the correct answer. Me too. Tamsin, thank you so much for telling us all about the second book in your Gargoyles series. It's out right now, and I'm guessing the third one will be out very soon, or is it next year, the end of this year?
Third one is out spring next year, so about the same time next year. I'm editing it at the moment.
So lots of chances for people to read the first one and the second one and get ready.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Tamsin.
Thank you. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you to Tamsin. Now, next up, it's Eve Wersocki-Morris. She's a friend of Fun Kids, and she's bringing mayhem to 1950s London with her newest book, Clem Fatale Has Been Betrayed, a really good film noir-inspired adventure. Let's find out more. All right, well, I'm joined now by author, and I'm going to say friend of the show, Eve Wersocki-Morris. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Now, you've brought us a brand new hero here, Clem Fatale. And, well, she's been betrayed, which isn't ideal.
It's not. She's not feeling too good about it.
So we're in London in the 50s, which is a place I don't read a lot of books about. It's very, very cool. And I'm not going to say a baddie, but she's a criminal.
Yeah, she does happen to be the daughter of a jewel thief, the most famous jewel thief in London, Jimmy Fatale, who is the boss of the Spider Gang. But even though she is a bit of a crook, she's got a heart of gold and she'll do anything for the people that she loves. So she's kind of a baddie who's also good.
Yeah, that's fair. So in the book, immediately we're in a heist that is happening, and she kind of gets caught up in it because, well, her dad uses her sometimes because she's got like kind of little fingers and she can get into little places and stuff. But immediately we also make a friend in a rather posh boy.
Yes. So we start when Clem and her dad are robbing a house of Lord Weatherdale. And as Clem runs out of the house to escape, she accidentally bumps into the son of Lord Weatherdale, whose name is Gilbert. He is in his pajamas and she does accidentally kidnap him. It's the beginning of an unlikely friendship of this daughter of a criminal and this very posh boy who's basically never been outside of his garden walls. And he's thrilled at the idea of going on an adventure with this exciting girl, Clem Fatale. And he doesn't quite realise that he's been kidnapped. He thinks he's a cool new sidekick and he's like really excited to get involved. But Clem is, trying to be tough and serious and like tell him that he's leveraged. Like she's just bringing him along because she needs to have something over on someone else. But they, without spoiling it, they do become friends.
Yeah, and he was also, he's worthwhile having around. He's such a lovely character as well. Like he's just really marveling at everything. And like, even though he's clearly been in this very posh world, he's absolutely adoring this.
Yeah, he just like, Gilbert is like one of the funnest characters to write because he's very funny because of his kind of like ignorance of the world of Clem. Like he's always
kind of naivety almost.
Yeah, he's so excited about everything. And the fact that he's in his pajamas for a lot of the book as well is quite funny. There's a bit where they try and get a ride with a taxi driver, and the taxi driver's like, "Nah, you're in your pajamas. Like, I can't take you." And like Gilbert's just, he's full of fun and excitement, and I think he's just the best character. They work quite well together, the two of them. But he's quite useful. Yeah, he is.
He's good at talking to people and getting information.
Yes, that's it. Like Clem's kind of like head down, like trying to work out stuff by herself. But she'll sort of leave a table in a restaurant, come back and find that Gilbert's befriended the waitress and like knows all about her. And actually she's got a clue that will help them to like move forward. So being friendly sometimes helps.
Absolutely. And Clem in the book, she's quite wily. She obviously has learnt a lot from her dad. I love also her mum. Her mum and dad are separated. Her mum is this incredibly glamorous woman who's very like not involved in this world at all. But when she needs to be, she's around.
Yeah, Lynn Fatale, Clem's mother, is this kind of like glamorous, like she is, when you think of a 50s film star, she's very much like that type of person. Yes, and she seems very haughty and sort of stuck up, but actually when the time comes for her to help her family as well, she'll get stuck in, which is quite fun.
And in the book, Clem is searching for her dad, basically. So in the big heist, her dad went missing and she now has to find out what's going on, and maybe has someone been double-crossing him? Yeah.
Not only has Clem's dad gone missing, but a famous diamond called the Fool's Canary has vanished as well. So Clem's got to find her dad, and she's got to speak to all of the crooks and criminals and all the gangsters and the shady businessmen that her dad's worked with. So she gets in some sticky situations trying to find him. But yeah, as you say, she's got wits, she's got smarts. She's gonna outwit all the baddies.
Was it fun kind of like creating all of the villains and the baddies and making up their names as well? Was there any particular name that you loved making up? Yes.
So there's a bit where so the crew, the gangster crew, the Spiders, who are like Clem's dad's gang. We've got Twizzler, she's very sort of wily and sort of quite spiky. We've got Monty, who's kind of like a big ginger bear kind of character. Screw, who's the driver, because I wanted like a screwdriver.
Oh, yeah,
like
nice.
Because he's like sort of the mechanic. So that was quite fun. But yeah, there's lots of gangster names mentioned in the book, like Harry the Hat. And oh goodness, can't think of any of them now. But yeah, there's lots of like silly gangster. Mascarpone, who is just a little bit silly. But the main baddie villain is called Norman Han, and he owns a very glamorous nightclub called the Havana. And he's a bit of a sinister chap. And he has two thugs who are his security guards, who are twin brothers called Crackfoot and Crackfoot.
Yes.
And the two of them are, they're very big and scary, but actually, you know, they're not. They ain't got the smarts, so Clem can very easily trick them. And there's a bit where one of the Crackfoot brothers comes back really late to the boss's hideout because he went to go and get some breakfast, and he was very upset they didn't have any sausages, and comes in very late to the boss's crew and like complains about no sausages. It's a very silly. Like the gangsters can be scary, but they're also particularly silly.
Yes.
Like that was quite fun to write about. And there's a very silly bit where Norman Han is getting dressed for a fancy dress party, and he's upset that they don't have the right colour costume that he wanted, and he pulls a bit of a fit. Hissy fit on that, yeah.
I love it. There's also, you clearly love London because you mentioned in the book, you have so many places in London, the West End. You've got Hackney House, which is the hideout place for the gang. You've got a Belsize Park in Hampstead. It must be quite nice to write about London in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Londoner. I didn't grow up in the 50s, but yeah, so I love London, and writing about London in the 50s. So lots of people in school, you might learn about the Blitz that obviously happens in the 40s in the Second World War, but Clem takes place in 1951, so 6 years after the Second World War, and actually that was a time when a lot of London, it was still recovering from the Blitz, from the bombs. And so there's a lot of building work still going on. There's glamour in the West End, but then there's also that idea of like repairing the city. And in the book, the sort of character of London is kind of like Clem's best friend in a way. Like she knows the city really well. And even though it is sort of a bit bedraggled, a bit sort of like, you know, it's been hit pretty hard from the war, but it's picking itself up. And London is very much a character in the book as well.
Well, Eve, thank you so much for telling us all about your new hero, Clem Fatale. And hopefully will we see her again, perhaps?
Yes, Clem Fatale will return in a new adventure in London town, and it's going to be thrills and spills. It's going to be fast and funny. Next year.
What could you want? Great.
She's coming back.
So we need to read the first one now.
Yeah, better read it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Eve, for coming in and telling us all about it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, then, to close the show, we have a funny, feel-good story about friendship and living life to the fullest, on wheels or not. This is Ella Dove's newest story, How to Roller Skate with One Leg. I'm joined right now by author Ella Dove. Hey, Ella, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I am very excited and intrigued about your brand new book, How to Roller Skate with One Leg, telling us the story of Maya Bright. So, what happens to Maya when we first meet her in the story?
So when we first meet Maya, she has had an accident, a car accident, which is detailed in the prologue of the book. So she is going back to school for the first time, having had loads of time off. She had this car accident and she was hit by a car when she was crossing the road, and it meant that she became an amputee. So she lost her right leg and she was in hospital for a very long time. And then we meet her going back to school and suddenly realizing that actually so much has changed for her. And, you know, it's not just kind of physical things like climbing the stairs at school and stuff like that, but it's also the social side, her friends, everything's changed. Her best friend, who's her friend, who was her friend since the sort of age of 4, no longer wants to be friends with her and has joined a different group. And so she just feels like she's sort of missing out on so much, having had this time off.
She's going from year 7 to year 8, which is a really tricky time anyway, when you kind of don't know who you are and like everybody's friends kind of change. And as well as that, yeah, she's dealing with having this new prosthetic limb and going back to school, which it brings its own issues, right?
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. You know, as I mentioned, there's a lot of physical challenges that come with it. Learning to walk again after having 2 legs and then suddenly having 1 leg is a huge thing. You know, the balance is kind of all a bit dodgy to begin with. You're very wobbly. You have to learn to trust this thing that is attached to you that isn't a part of your body but has become a part of your body. So yeah, it's a really, really big change.
And you also mention in the book really things that you maybe wouldn't know unless you had to deal with this. Stuff like getting the pseudochrome out to rub the back of your leg when you take the prosthetic limb off because it might have been rubbing on you during the day.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I'm an amputee myself. So I've got 1 leg as well. So that's how I know all these things very much firsthand. So yeah, I mean, when you do too much walking, it often does happen that you can develop a sore. A little bit like if you wear a pair of shoes that are too tight and you wear them all day and you do loads of walking, you might get a sore or, you know, a kind of rubbed patch on the back of your heel. It's similar to that, having a prosthetic leg. If you overdo it, particularly when you're first getting used to it, if you do overdo it, then you can quite easily cause sores and injure yourself.
I did love in the book, which I really enjoyed, by the way, you do drop in a lot of stuff that maybe, stuff that, again, like you wouldn't know, but that Maya kind of reclaims. Stuff like you can get a leg in any colour you want. You can get patterns on them.
Yeah, you can. It's very cool what you can get. So, yeah. So in the book, Maya has a glittery one, which is pink. I actually do also have a glittery leg. Mine is turquoise glittery, and it's a waterproof one. So it's specifically for swimming. So I can go in the sea when I go on holiday and things like that. And I call it my mermaid leg because it looks like a mermaid tail.
Incredible. And we've also, of course, the whole point of the book, The Roller Skating on One Leg, is because we've got this big bucket list of stuff that Maya wants to do.
Yes, she does. Yeah. So she's written this list before she has her accident. So all these things she wants to do before she turns 13. And it's things like she wants to get her ears double pierced. She wants to stay up all night at a sleepover. She wants to have the best party ever. Of course, roller skating is part of it too. And she sort of thinks after she's had the accident, well, can I still do all these things? You know, she starts to think, well, actually, are these things even possible for me now? But Maya is a very determined and feisty, stubborn character, very strong. And she decides that actually, yeah, she is going to do these things. And she is still going to tick all these things off her list because she wants to just prove to people that she's the same person. You know, she hasn't changed since her accident. She is the person she was before. And she is so determined to achieve all these things.
Yeah, she's a really positive character. It must have been nice to write somebody who was kind of like, okay, these things have changed, but I'm not going to let it change me.
Yes, totally. Yeah, that's exactly what she thinks. And, we hear this phrase, disability isn't inability. And I think it's really true. Sometimes people assume that when someone's disabled, they can't do things. And that I find very, very frustrating sometimes, because only that person knows what they can and can't do.
Absolutely. And you've got some best friends in the book as well, who are so supportive and just have been visiting her and sending her memes and just doing exactly what you want your best friends to do.
Yes, yeah. So she's got her little group. So there's Vita and Miles. They're her two friends who've stuck by her no matter what, even when her ex-best friend Sophie doesn't want to know anymore. Vita and Miles have been there for her the whole time. And I think that's a really key thing in the book, friendship. I mean, friends are just so important, aren't they, at every stage of our life? But certainly when you're at school, friends mean everything to you. So the fact that she's got that strong support network of friends is really important.
Oh, it's such a big deal. And the book just tells the story of Maya so wonderfully. I also need to give a shout out to her mum and just raising guinea pigs. Big fan of that.
Yeah, so her mum in the book is a guinea pig breeder. So Maya has all these little guinea pigs running around her house all the time, and they're all named after celebrities. So her favourite is Harry Styles, the guinea pig. But then you've also got Taylor Swift, and you've got Little Mix, and her mum's favourite is Elton John. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I enjoyed having Elton John, the guinea pig, in there. You've also got some top tips at the back for people who've recently become amputees. Could you share some of them with us?
Yes, I mean, I don't have the book with me right now, but I can give you some tips for sure. I would say, I mean, focusing on what you can do and not on what you can't do is a really important one. It's so easy to kind of go into a negative mindset and think, oh, well, everything's changed and, my life is over. But actually, there are still things you can do. Talking about setting small goals, for me, that was something that really, really helped. I would write down just little things I wanted to achieve. So it might be even just, I wanted to go and make a drink myself, without asking my mum to do it for me, or I wanted to go up the stairs on my own, even if I had to do it sort of shuffling on my bottom, without my prosthetic leg. So little everyday things, if you write them down and you tick them off, they really can help. They can be very powerful in making you kind of realise that you do still have a bit of freedom and independence and you are still capable of achieving things. So I think that's probably the top tip I would share.
And what happens if, what would you say to somebody whose friend is going through it? How would you support them?
I think the most important thing, if it's a friend going through it, is just being there and listening. It's very easy to, when something happens to somebody, I had friends who, a bit like Sophie in the book, who just kind of didn't know what to say, or would just kind of ignore me or not come and visit me in hospital, because I think mostly because they were scared of doing the wrong thing. And I think the best thing to do is actually to be present, even if you make a mistake or you say something, that perhaps the person doesn't like. You can apologize for that. Whereas if you're not there in the first place, that's not the sign of a true friend. So it's just all about being there and listening and, asking that person how you can help them and doing the best you can to do that.
Oh, wonderful stuff. I really love this book. It gave me big Jacqueline Wilson vibes as well, which is the highest praise I can give any book.
Really, that is huge praise. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's out right now and we can get it from everywhere, right?
You can. Yep. It's out right now. And there's going to be another book next year. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for telling us all about Maya and looking forward to reading more about her.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So many good books, so many brilliant authors. Thank you to Greg and Chris, Tamsin, Eve, and Ella for telling me all about their brilliant books. If you've enjoyed the podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, wherever it is you get your pods from, and I'll see you soon. Bye.